and welcome to vCatchup. We've got a very special guest with me today. We're live at vForum, and if you could introduce yourself, please. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Bogomil Balkansky, and I lead the products team at VMware that's responsible for the software-defined data center product lines. That includes our flagship virtualization platform vSphere, as well as the newer for us product lines and endeavors in the areas of storage virtualization and network virtualization. I've been at VMware for 7 years, which makes me almost a dinosaur or an old-timer because we're a very young company. And it's always a pleasure to come down here to Australia.
Pleasure to have you here, yeah. So look, I've got about 5 or 6 questions that I wanted to ask Bogomil, so I'll jump straight into it. I'm keen to know about people's vForum experiences, past and present, and I guess especially what brings you to vForum this year, sort of thing. So
yeah. The first time I had a chance to visit Australia as part of VMware was all the way back in 2006, which must have been either the very first or maybe the second vForum that we had down here in Australia. And back in 2006, we were launching what was VMware Infrastructure 3, the predecessor of vSphere. Ever since, it's no secret that Australia has always been at the forefront of virtualization adoption, and I always try to figure out what is it about Australians and New Zealanders that make you such ardent adopters of new technologies. But whenever I come here to Australia, it's really a pleasure to learn from the most advanced customers, and whatever it is, the questions that people ask me here, the stories that I learned about the build-outs of virtualized environments is basically the best source for me to anticipate the future of virtualization for the rest of the world. Whatever happens here at the vForum in Australia, I'll then anticipate to see a year later, 2 years later in the rest of the world. So
we are the future.
For me personally, I feel that this is really the time and the place to discover what the future holds.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, thanks for that, Bogomil. I appreciate it. Yeah. So look, that's my first time at VMworld this year. I had the chance to go this year as part of the VMUG, and
awesome.
It was an amazing time. I had a great time. I was just wondering, what for you was the most exciting announcement in VMworld? It's hard to do one specific, I know, but what of all the latest innovation, what's the most passionate you're excited about?
I mean, obviously, I should admit, I'm a biased observer here, right? I mean, I'm the guy who, at the end of the day, our team is responsible for a software-defined data center product lines, and I'm very excited about the prospects of scaling up the benefits of virtualization out of the compute realm and basically doing the same for storage and networking and the associated availability and security services. So I do believe that we have an amazing chance, probably the best chance that I see in the infrastructure software industry. But having said that, actually, if I have to single out a single announcement of VMworld, I can tell you how excited I am about our Horizon suite. I believe we're absolutely onto something very differentiated. Honestly, in my 7-year history at VMware, I've never seen a product that has been so anticipated by customers, and everybody's telling me when can I have this? And finally, I think I'll be able to actually explain to my father what it is that I do for a living once we launch it.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. Look, I think as well, with the Horizon suite, it's really there's really been a big change with the consumerization of IT, and we're all using tablets now. People are using iPhones and iPads, those sort of things. It has been it's been a big difference. It's been a big change in how people use computers. Like this consumerization step.
It's interesting that on one hand, we collectively are beneficiaries of the consumerization of IT and the fact that we have all these fabulous new devices. With such seamless, wonderful, gratifying user experience. But at the same time, this obviously is creating a lot of problems for IT, and in many instances, reintroducing problems that had been solved for a long time. Something as trivial and mundane, quite honestly, as single sign-on. I mean, it was a problem that was solved. We hadn't been talking about single sign-on in the enterprise context for quite a while, and now lo and behold, like it's again a problem. And so I find that aspect of the post-PC era quite ironic, right? But it's such a mixture of goodness, but also it forces us again like to solve problems that had been solved before.
That's good, yeah. Okay, so look, I wanted to ask you. I'm a vMUG leader down in Melbourne, Australia, and I wanted to ask you about what your thoughts were on the importance of the vMUG, and what do you think the opportunity presents of the having an IT community? Yeah.
I mean, I do believe that the vMUGs are the lifeblood of VMware as a company, nothing short of it. Over the years, I personally have been a big proponent and supporter of the vMUGs, and I say that they are the lifeblood of VMware because as a company, we have two things really going for us. The first thing is the fact that we have great technologists. We have people who are capable and excited about disruptive innovation. But the second thing that we have as a company is really an amazingly loyal and exciting customer base. And for me, every time I find myself at VMworld or an event like vForum, it really helps bring everything in perspective, and I feel so re-energized when I feel the love, so to speak, of the entire community that surrounds us. And I believe that the vMUGs really represent kind of the best manifestation of this customer commitment. And so I do believe that the vMUGs have been and will always be so central and vitally important to everything that VMware does. Being a vMUG leader, it's great to see that you listen to that feedback and that you have VMware have actioned that feedback in the past, and I think that's a great thing. There's a lot of I've been involved in a lot of technologies in the past where you don't get that. I suppose as well, social media's played a bit part in that as well. But having that feedback mechanism and actually going, yep, we hear you, we're going to do something about it, and then see you follow through. I think that's been fantastic. Yeah, I mean, again, as a products team, we take any feedback from the vMUGs very, very seriously. And by the way, I should say, thank you for all the commitment that yourself as a leader and everybody who participates in the vMUGs has, because all of us at VMware are deeply appreciative that this is not your day job. This is something that you choose.
It's a passion
to carry on as a passion, and all of us have nothing but respect and gratitude for all your efforts.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Look, I've been asking this question to everybody. What's your opinion on a software-defined data center? Yeah, and how does it compare to cloud? Yeah, and VMware has been a bit of a disruptor in the ecosystem. Yeah, well, how do you see it impacting the partner relationship?
Yeah, so a couple of comments there. First, the first part of your question: how does software-defined data center relate to cloud? Software-defined data center is the architecture for cloud. It is our viewpoint of what is the best way to provide the technological foundation for building and operating a cloud. That's what software-defined data center is. Since we officially launched that vision at VMworld, I've been really amazed at how well it has been received by the entire community around VMware, because I do believe there is a lot of hunger in our customer base and our partner base to go beyond the cloud washing. And honestly, in this day and age, just to say cloud is almost like saying internet. Back in the year 2000, it doesn't really mean much. And I do believe that there is people are actually anxious to get down to business and what are the real technologies? What is it? How do I build? How do I operate one of these? And I do believe that with the software-defined data center, we have articulated a very compelling vision and roadmap for what it takes to build and operate a cloud. The second aspect to your question was, so with this vision of virtualizing not just servers, but also storage and networking, how does that impact the ecosystem? And I think the press sometimes loves speculating about are we competing now with Cisco? What does that mean, for our relationship with our major shareholder EMC?
I've been careful with my words.
I know. But let me kind of address your real question head on. All of this, quite honestly, brings me back to my early years at VMware, when people are asking me, okay, with server consolidation, aren't you putting your server partners out of business? And why on earth are they actually reselling your software? Like, why are they shooting themselves in the foot? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And, after a decade of server virtualization success and server consolidation, the hardware server businesses of our partners are not only well, but actually they're thriving. And virtualization has actually provided the impetus for a lot of innovation in server systems, and has allowed partners to actually rejuvenate their product lines and come up with net new product lines, which has resulted in growth for their business. I fully anticipate that we'll see the same phenomena when it comes to storage and when it comes to networking. So this is not about undermining the businesses of our partners. This will really, storage virtualization and network virtualization will create new opportunities for our partners to create new generations of hardware that's specifically optimized for the world of software-defined data center.
Yeah. I think that's a good description there. Thank you. I've been saying to a few people that software-defined data centers like cloud for IT pros. The definition. I think there's a lot more substance to it. That's always been working in the IT field myself. I've always been a bit
and if you
skeptical.
say that, mission accomplished. If you say that, technical people finally get it.
I've just found it too vague. But you've really put some definition behind it, and I thank you for that. I do. Look, tell us about your home lab, Bogomil. Do you get your hands on the tools?
Well, honestly, I'm lucky, and I have the luxury that I work in corporate in Palo Alto, so I do have access to a very professional lab, so I don't have to have my own home lab.
I imagine, But taking the hands on the tools a bit further, do you use Horizon yourself? Do you actually use those end user computing?
Yeah, so I do use Horizon. I do use the alpha version of Octopus. I do use all of these technologies, and whenever I travel the world, I love showing them to customers. I do believe that they're a very compelling way to actually illustrate, what VMware does.
There's a term. There's a few terms. There's eating your own dog food, or there's also drinking your own champagne. So, it's good to hear.
I had never heard drinking your own champagne.
Yes, it's good to hear. Yeah,
it's a slightly kind of more appetizing metaphor than eating your own dog food. So I'll start using that.
So that's great. Okay. Thanks for that. Cool. So look, last question really. I was wanting to know about your opinion. I mean, you kind of touched on it at the beginning with vForum, but your opinion about how well, Australia and New Zealand are doing cloud and and the software-defined data center. I mean, compute's been well established in, throughout the world now for a few years. But do you see Australia as being like an innovator? Do you see you kind of touched on it a bit at the beginning? Do you see that journey progressing more here than other places? And do you see, you talked about the futures point in here, but that more,
absolutely.
How it's going to.
I don't think that you guys have lost your touch, so to speak, your magic touch. You absolutely are in the forefront of anything new and exciting that's happening. I do believe that now that, I think statistically speaking, Australia and New Zealand are about 79% virtualized, which basically means that at this point resistance is futile. The x86 data center is going to be fully virtual, and at this point actually it is reflected in our business that more and more of our business is actually the rest of the software-defined data center components over and above vSphere. So I think that's actually chugging along pretty well, and I think you are on your way again, to lead the adoption of software-defined data center and cloud.
Starting on that next phase about looking up the stack and looking at automation and orchestration and how we can use policy and process to use these tools.
You're touching on something that's very interesting, that this whole transformation is, about technology, and VMware obviously is a technology company. We're very excited about technology, but I happened to be at a dinner last night with a bunch of customers, and it seemed that really the hurdles are less about the technology. We'll figure it out, but there is a lot of thinking and evolution that still needs to happen when it comes to changing processes and when it comes to evolving the organization of the data center. I think it's fair to say that the way data center teams are organized is a reflection of a 30-year legacy of having these siloed technology. I have compute, I have storage, I have networking, and these teams, sometimes work well together, sometimes they don't. I do believe that that's one of the areas that is ripe for change, and just like we're talking about software-defined data center, and we're talking about a single platform that actually now can coordinate all of these virtualized resources, I feel that we'll start seeing that also reflected in how the skill sets of people are evolving and how the organization of teams are evolving. And a lot of customers are thinking, for example, about having an admin that's cross-trained across all of these disciplines and knows enough about server and storage and network and availability and security to be able to holistically provision an entire service. And then, of course, you still need the deep architecture experts in each one of these domains, but I do believe that from operation standpoint, things are going to change fairly significantly over the next few years.
I mean, the data center's changed, hasn't it? We're much less not in the bonnet, under the bonnet, pressing buttons and twiddling knobs anymore. It's much more around, like a converged solutions put in, and it's like 90%, design and configuration and getting that correct, and then it's that 10% of the operational overhead. I mean, at a later stage.
I do believe you're right, but customers actually no longer want to be the system integrators. And I think there is a lot of attractiveness in these converged infrastructure value proposition. It basically means that, hey, vendors have actually done some of the heavy lifting of pre-integrating these technologies. Having said that, I don't know if there is actually a perfect substitute for getting under the bonnet. I think at the end of the day, you do need people who understand, these technologies.
Sure, definitely.
But I think that trend of converged infrastructure is yet another manifestation of the need to standardize as much as possible in the data center.
Okay, Bogomil. Thank you very much for your time today.
Okay,
and I appreciate you coming on the catch-up.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Jan.
Good luck.
Thanks, Jan.
Thanks.